I feel like we're getting better, Scott. We were actually ready to go a little earlier than we would start streaming today, which is an improvement. Maybe it's because you've taken over production.
Look at us. We're on time. We're nowhere near on budget, but we're getting there.
Do we have a budget?
No, we don't have a budget. Let's be honest.
Our budget is whatever our wives will let us spend on podcast and video toys.
Yeah. As I was sending you links today to, here's a new monitor that I would like to get.
Yeah. Well, I just bought a new iPad, so no new monitor for me. You have been telling me how much you love your mini, and I still had the 11-inch iPad Pro, I think. And you keep telling me about how much you love your mini just because it's mini. It has a small form factor, one-handed, a little bit easier. You don't try to turn it into a small computer. And I've been thinking about it off and on, and I finally went and did it the other day. I bought a mini. I have a pencil, so I could use my old pencil. And I'm with you. Like, I really like the form factor of the mini, and I tend to wear shorts with cargo pockets in them. And like the mini, I can actually slide it in the pocket of my pants.
Yeah. I will say, not to spend a ton of time on it, but the thing that I like the most about the iPad mini as a tablet is that I don't even bother trying to do tablet things with it, which I've been so frustrated over the years with iPad OS and iOS before that, in just the wholly artificial limitations that Apple continues to impose there. So on the mini, if I pick that thing up, it's basically like a single app kind of thing. Maybe occasionally I do slide over, like picture in picture, like, hey, I'm going to play a game and watch YouTube at the same time. And it is delightful for all of those things. Is it frustrating? Sometimes I get in, I'm like, oh, it doesn't have a keyboard. But actually that stops me from doing something that I probably shouldn't have been doing on the iPad in the first place. It's a device with limitations, but the limitations that it has often force you into better behaviors in the Apple ecosystem. So I'm a fan.
I would agree. I treat it more like a phone, but it's bigger. So if I want to read email or read blog posts or read a book, I don't do that a ton. I tend to still use the Kindle for reading books. Jotting quick notes with the pencil. It's great for those. And again, I like the portability of it. The iPad, the 11-inch still just felt big to me. So that was that. But you are also sending me monitors. So this is interesting, Scott. I know you also, this is not cloud related, and we do have some cloud related news later, but the beginning of the year, you were telling me you switched your setup to go to, I think you're back to a single monitor instead of dual monitors. And then you sent me this new monitor today. So I'm kind of curious, what is your current stance on monitors on your desk for getting things done? And then I am more than happy to share what I have as my setup as well.
So I used to be a 2-monitor person. I think I qualify, and for a long time I would have been neutral evil. So a main monitor in front of me, and then positioned to the side. So a main monitor in landscape, and then positioned to the side a monitor in vertical orientation, so that I could, or portrait, so that I could do long form media, which is great for web pages, email, RSS, all those kinds of things. At some point, I gave one of those monitors to my kids, and I was looking like, I've got laptop stands, and you and I think most of the time work off of MacBook Pros, which have these beautiful screens, but they're kind of tiny. So really what I took to doing was just clamshelling my laptop. And normally I have my work PC and my MacBook, and well, actually I have two laptops for work. They're both clamshelled, and I just picked up a little holder for them for the desk, and they all sit in a line like 1, 2, 3. And I basically swap a Thunderbolt cable from one to the other, and then that lights up a single monitor for me. So I find with a 32-inch 4K screen, which is the one primary monitor that I do today. That's perfect for me because that's 1080p screens for just about anything I need to do. It's very rare these days for me, now that I'm not doing training all the time, to have a need to present an entire second screen. Like most of the time I can kind of do almost what we do like weekly with the podcast. Like I can take OBS and just start a virtual camera around a section of the screen that's 1080p and go ahead and send that out, and really no one ever knows the difference, right? As long as I don't move the window out of that boundary. So I like that. I've had a need lately as I've been doing some more presentations at work to have two screens. So like this last week, I did a Learn Live session with Carl Rottenstock, who we had on a couple months ago to talk about the file migration program. We were doing a session on kind of exploring Azure storage services, getting started with it. What are files? What are disks? What's blob? How's all that come together? And one of the requirements of doing a Learn Live delivery, and it was this way when I was doing training, remote as well, or even in person sometimes, was that you basically project everything off a second screen. So have a 1080p screen that's available that you can share your PowerPoint to, share your web browser to, and then just share that entire screen so that when you're in the webinar and somebody's like in StreamYard or OBS and swapping you back and forth, you don't have any glitch in the matrix to say, oh, there was a blip there, or somebody had to take a source in, put a source out, things like that. So I've been dual screening it again the last couple of weeks, just with a laptop stand off to my right and then kind of the primary monitor here. And I'm not using the laptop for anything other than these presentations. But I think what I would like to do is, I saw some reviews of the LG Dual Up, which is a 16 by 18 display. It's basically two 1440p monitors, two 21-inch 1440p monitors stacked on top of each other. And you can run it in landscape or portrait or whatever you need to do. But it has some, I think, some nice things for me, in that it is a almost always vertical monitor. So I could run it in effectively permanent portrait mode, but really I'm doing two landscape screens within it, which I think is kind of cool. Like some of the window snapping in Windows would work really well there, right? Split screen on the top and the bottom and run things through. But then a capability that a lot of monitors have, but I think that is like particularly interesting with this one, is the ability to do picture by picture, picture in picture in modes like that. And specifically what I'd be interested in is being able to take, say my work laptop and plug it in over Thunderbolt to the dock and run, just USB-C or whatever over to the monitor, and then also run DisplayPort or HDMI up to the monitor as well, so that my laptop, whichever one it is, happens to see two screens there. And then if I do picture by picture, I can actually have two screens in one screen without having to do some of the weirdness that I might be forced into with like OBS and a virtual camera or something like that today. So I think it's really appealing to me. They were kind of expensive when they came out. They're still relatively expensive now for what's really basically like two 1440p panels stacked together. But they did recently dropped in price $100, and I don't know, it's kind of got me itching. I'm like, well, if I do that, I can go back to clamshelling my laptop, which I don't like clamshelling my laptop. Like, I've got to have the keyboard open all the time. Like, it's a waste to me because I'm not ever typing on that keyboard. It takes up a ton of space to have your laptop open versus having a screen on a gas arm or even just on a monitor stand and being able to kind of move it back and forth. Like, this is a huge waste of space on my desk that I would like to have back for other things. So yeah, I think I'm contemplating going back to the dual screen life, and I think it'd be really cool with something like the Dual Up, because really I could use that for triple screen life if I wanted to as well. So there's a decent amount of variety in there for me in scenarios that I could execute. And just think about, like, you're doing a presentation, and if you do dual screen, like say I've got all my production on the main monitor like I do now, and then I want to run my demo, but I'm projecting off my screen that's, my secondary screen for demo. That usually means most of us are doing something like we're looking to the left, we're looking to the right, we're going to look up if we're doing stacked monitors or down. And with something like the dual up, both screens would just be right in front of you the entire time, which I think would be stellar for most of the types of content that I end up interacting with today. Something like this, maybe where it's talking headshot plus, plus a projection of a screen or things like that. So I think I'm talking myself into it as we go.
That would be interesting. I am curious to see what you think and how that works. So I kind of want you to buy it. I am probably not going to go that route, even if you really like it, because I've been really happy with my setup. So similar to you, I am back down to a single monitor, but I went a little bigger than 32-inch. I have a single 43-inch monitor. That it's, again, 4K, so it gives me the 4 1080p screens on one. And I don't know how close to you sit. I sit about 3 feet away from my monitor. So that distance, 43 does not feel too big. I could not go any bigger, but 43 inches is good. But I like the one monitor. I used to do the dual screen too. For a while, I was doing an ultra wide screen. Having just one big 43-inch 16:9 screen, I can either split it up into 4 1080p screens, or I can just do one big one. Like, I've had some times I'm working on maybe Logic apps, Power Automate. I'm working on a giant Excel spreadsheet, and being able to have just have my entire screen focused on that, or be able to get all of that on one screen, is so much nicer than having two screens, in my opinion. I do find what you did. I do some training, I do some presentations, that type of stuff. So what I actually did is, all the way over here, to your point, I have a 43-inch TV that's like 6 feet away from me that I only turn on when I need to do presentations, and it runs 1080p all the time. So I don't use it for regular day-to-day work. Sometimes I'll have it on during day-to-day if I want to play a webinar, if I have a YouTube video, if there's something I kind of want to watch in the background. But it's out of my focus. It's one of those I listen to. I can glance over if I'm interested to see it. But it isn't in my day-to-day normal productivity space. And I do have a couple of cameras too. So I have the webcam that I'm using for this. It's right in front of me. I have a teleprompter with a camera right here that I don't have to shift a whole lot if I'm going back and forth between a camera and doing a demo presentation, whatever, on that 1080p screen. But I do find what you have is that I need to have a dedicated 1080p screen for those presentations for teaching, because I can't share a 4K 43-inch screen during a presentation, or people can't see anything on the screen.
Yeah, it's tough. So your 43-inch screen, that is a television and not a monitor? Is that a
over here is a television. That's the 1080p one. My monitor is actually a monitor. It is the Dell 43-inch Ultra Sharp 4K monitor. It's the U4320Q. So again, that one's not cheap either. It's a USB-C. This one, kind of like your dual stack, though it does have 4 inputs. So an interesting scenario you can get into with this one is I could run, I think it's 2 HDMIs and 2 display ports into it, and technically have it show up as 4 monitors. So this one will do any number of picture-by-picture, picture on top of picture that you want between 2 and 3. So I can either do 4 individual 1080p monitors if I would run 4 inputs to it. I can do 3 where you end up with 2 on one side and 1 like stacked one on the other side, or I could run like one ultra wide across the bottom and 2 panels up top. The one I'm not a big fan of, I don't think if I'm just doing 2, I can't do 2 ultra wides stacked on top of each other. I have to do 2 verticals next to each other.
Yep.
So I tend to just run 1 input into it rather than 4, because it also gets kind of goofy. Again, then I'm always dragging windows around. I always have to have 4 panels. I like having the option to have 1 big one, or if I want 4, I just set them up in the 4 corners of the screen, because I have that other monitor that I use when I do have to share.
Yep, makes sense. I've seen lots of folks also go down the path of doing a TV as a monitor, like some of the newer OLEDs. Can do pretty well depending on your setup in your room. Like I sit in a pretty bright room. I have a window right behind me, so reflections would really be tough on a glossy screen for me. And you know, PPI is potentially something I'd be worried about there as well. But I've seen some really good reviews of like the LG C2 OLEDs and things like that. But yeah, it's been interesting. It's good to change up your space from time to time. You know, if you'd asked me 6 months ago, could I have imagined being a single monitor person? You know, heck no. Like, there's just no way I can ever do this. And then I just kind of did it because like I said, one of my kids took one of my monitors one day, and like, yeah, you know, like, this is totally fine. It actually works out better for me. I find myself more focused with one monitor. I will say that, like, just that everything's in front of me. Like, do I have to do some more window chasing and things? Like, yeah, sure. But I find on a 4K monitor, like, having 4 1080p sized windows is plenty. Or really what you can do is you can do the you can do the 3 window thing, do 1080p on 2 stacked windows, and then do like a full vertical stack on the other side. So lots of options there.
Yeah, that's the flexibility I like with a big 4K monitor, is you get a lot more options to rearrange windows based on what you want to do. The sharing just is where you can get tripped up sometimes.
Yeah. So if I get this other monitor thing and I go through that situation again, I'll definitely report back to you and let you know that you need to spend some more.
All right. See, I don't know. It's going to be a tough sell for me to go to that, because I really do like my 43-inch monitor. But aside from that, any other random tech purchases? Did you want to talk about your keyboard? I know we talked about that you were ordering this. I think around Christmas time, when we were talking about our stocking stuffers and gift ideas for family, and you finally got it. And now whenever we're chatting, I can hear you typing. I can almost hear you typing all the way across Jacksonville. It is very clicky.
I didn't think it was going to be this clicky. So I bought a NuFi Air 75. It's a low profile mechanical keyboard and comes with various switches on it. You know, you could do reds, browns, blues, whatever you happen to be into. I happen to really like linear switches, the reds. So I don't know that last time my last mechanical keyboard that I had reds on didn't seem this loud, but I really don't care. Like, it's great. It's fine. It's all good. The reason I keep like peeking down is, you know, normally I'm just a touch typer, but I'm like, I got to go really slow and make sure that it doesn't get picked up on my microphone. So let me make sure I'm exactly where I need to be. And I'm trying to get used to the layout. Like, some things are just off a little bit for me. Like, I keep hitting, option when I want to be hitting control or things like that. So, yeah. It's a nifty little device, and because I just bought one,
adds to the ambiance, Scott.
It does, and because I just bought this, I do believe I have some coupon codes that I can put in for like 10% off. So let me see if I can find some of those and include those in the show notes if anybody's interested.
All right. Sounds good. I just have a keyboard sound on my Rodecaster Scout, so if we want keyboard clicky sounds, I can just move my fingers and hit the sound pad, and you can get your keyboard clickiness coming through. So speaking of coupon codes, this is another option we have. You have no desire to play with this, but Microsoft Designer. This is like Microsoft's version of Canva or Snappa or any of those, if you've played with those, but also incorporating a lot more AI type stuff in it. So you can give a design headline and a subtitle, and it'll go off and do some generating of designs. They have options to do an AI generated image in there. But the other day on Twitter, they've had a wait list for a while. The other day on Twitter, they were giving away a bunch of invites to it. So myself, a few other people I know, got invited into Designer. But then once we're in, we also I have 3 other invites to give away. So I can go into my account and it's like, send invites. Although somehow I went down to share invites with 3 more to now I only have 1 more person. I don't know what happened. It's changing AI at its finest.
There you go.
Too many people have gotten in. But I guess I still have 1 more invite. Assuming I still have this 1 more invite when this episode comes out, ping me on Twitter if you are interested in trying out Designer. And if I still have my invite, or if I get my 3 invites back, I will give an invite away to a listener who wants one. Probably just first come, first serve. Whoever pings me on Twitter first gives me you can't tie it to an org account. It does have to be an MSA account. Tie it to an MSA account. Happy to invite someone into this preview. And it sounds like I've seen a lot more news around it. I'm wondering if it's going to kind of come out of this invite-only preview soon into just kind of a general availability preview. I don't know. I don't have any inside knowledge on it, but it has become much more active on Twitter, or because I interacted with them, I see a lot more of their tweets. Who knows which one?
You might be the only person left on Twitter.
I might be. No, there's still a lot of interaction on Twitter. I still get, I probably still get more interaction on Twitter, but I have gotten more and more on Mastodon as well. So I am remaining active on both of those for the time being. I have not given up one or switched exclusively to one. I keep both of them up, have both apps on my phone. So either place, you are equally likely to get a hold of me.
Yeah. I'm all in on Mastodon. So Twitter is a barren wasteland to me at this point. And I think it'll get worse when they shut off bots. What, tomorrow? Next week? Next week, the 9th, all the bots are going.
Oh, the paid APIs, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yes. See, I'm curious because does this mean all of the, like I use SmarterQube, but HubSpot, Buffer, all of these social media posting tools, I'm assuming that means all of them are going to go to a paid API, which means they're either going to start charging more or they're just going to give up on Twitter.
Yeah, talk about like burning the cogs of some things. I think it'll be interesting to see, like you said, which providers out there that offer free posting services today. There's lots of things that repost or follow this RSS feed and post it up here kind of thing. I wonder how free tiers of anything remain viable in that model. There's also just a lot of cool little bots and things, like some of the fun stuff that you can do that's going to stop and go away. I used to be a prolific kind of thread unroller and use some of the bots that could unroll a full thread and put it together all in one place for you. None of those are going to work anymore, right? Like, so it's not just, the bot that posts cute pictures of cats or always responds with, a link to a Rick Astley video is going away. it's the actual useful stuff that's out there. So the delightful and useful stuff is very much going to be hurt by a bunch of that.
Right. And see, that's my struggle. Like, I don't agree with the approach they took to killing all the third-party Twitter clients. Like, that was just a horrible approach to all of that. From the aspect of them not showing advertising, maybe I kind of get it, but it should have been like, give us a long runway so that these companies have time to pivot. Again, let them have an API, but have it show ads, whatever you take, whatever approach you take. But I was glad that like the HubSpots and the Smarter Queues and all those kept working, because I feel like, well, some of them feed junk, a lot of them feed very useful information into Twitter. I feel like going this approach is a little bit of biting the hands that feed you. Like, all of a sudden, all this content's going to go on Twitter, and it's that whole two-sided thing. You need content for people to go there, but if you kill content, people aren't going to go there, and if people stop going there, there's stopped going to be content, and it turns into this slow spiral into oblivion.
I don't think it's a slow spiral. I don't
think
know.
It's a quick spiral.
I don't know that folks kind of think about how much is automated on Twitter and drives potentially genuine interactions. Like, to your point about this is eliminating a huge source of content on the platform. So think about maybe like TechMeme or Hacker News. Like, when there's a hot item on Hacker News, you might have actually just followed like Hacker News on Twitter and seen the auto posting of, hey, here's the next new thread that you want to go follow over there. And you would have clicked it and you would have gone over. So you're not going to know about that now. Like, you're going to be driven back to the source website, arguably better for like the people who actually own and run the websites themselves. But you're also not going to have that interaction on Twitter anymore, right? Like, it's the source piece just isn't there. So I don't know. I'm kind of over the whole thing. It's all very short-sighted to me. I can absolutely understand, and I firmly agree. Like Twitter should have done away with clients that could read their API and not do things like deliver ads a long time ago, right? Just like Facebook and Instagram and a bunch of other platforms that are out there that make their money off ads. Like, I understand that. That's the way it works. Does it suck? Yes, all that stuff. But for something that's one way and all it's doing is posting to you, like, sorry, that's stupid. Like, you can't see the forest for the trees there.
Right. No, I agree. And your interaction thing, like, we post the podcast. Most of the posts from the podcast do not come directly from you or I. It's RSS feed, that's different things getting picked up. Even our weekly episode posts, we put all those together, get the image, the artwork, the text, the links, all of that ahead of time, so that when the episode drops, we can have it posted on all the social media platforms at the same time. But it drives interaction. People comment on it. We go out and we retweet it. We get that interaction, even though it originated from a bot. It drives that interaction. Like you said, and I interact with other bots that have posted news, Hacker News or the Microsoft bots, I'm sure. Again, to your point, people don't realize how much of those original posts are bots, and then after that, it's driven by interaction. I do not have the time to go through every article I see and repost that on Twitter to drive interaction. It's just not feasible, and I think it's the same for a lot of companies that drive a lot of the content on Twitter. They have time to respond and interact, but not to necessarily comb through stuff and always be posting on Twitter, especially when, a tweet has like an average lifespan of like 30 or 60 seconds. If people don't see it in the first 30 or 60 seconds, they may not see it unless they're being alerted or following you closely. I'm with you. I don't think this is a good idea. And yeah, to your point, maybe it's not a slow spiral; it's a quick jump off a cliff.
Well, it's been interesting to watch. So they also shut down in addition to shutting down like third-party clients like Twitterrific and Tweetbot and all that kind of stuff. They also killed in the last couple days the API tokens for services like Fediverse and Move2Don. So some of the things that were helping, hey, locate who I follow on Twitter and just migrate me over to Mastodon kind of thing. I'm all over on Mastodon. I've had an account on the primary Mastodon server, mastodon.social, for however long that's been around, 3-4 years, whatever it is. So I'm the same handle over there at ciphertext at mastodon.social. And yeah, I'm all in on that side. I just really don't open Twitter anymore. I'm going to rely on you to tell me if there's something I need to go respond to.
Something to go look at on Twitter. In all of my accounts, including the podcast, I started the podcast account. The mastodon.social one wasn't available when I sent everybody up. So all of those are over on the techhub.social. So there's MS Cloud IT Pro is on TechHub Social, IntelliJ, and my own Ben Stedging account are all over on the techhub.social server. So we'll put links to all those in the show notes if you do want to go follow us over there. I don't know what I'm going to do, Scott, if we might have to start manually posting over there if all the Twitter stuff breaks.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it is, because I use SmarterQ, which I really like. I love that platform for prepping all of these posts and stuff. They have no plans to integrate Mastodon anytime soon. They said they're keeping an eye on it, but no immediate plans. I do know Buffer has already, within the last week, added Mastodon to their list. So I don't want to switch again, but we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep everybody updated where to find us. So that's already been 30 minutes, Scott. We had news we were going to talk about today, too. Flip a coin. Do we do a longer episode and talk about the news?
Let's see. We're at 30 minutes, so let's do one news thing.
One news thing?
You pick.
I pick. So this is one that we've talked about before, and it's a little near and dear to my heart, and we'll try not to spend too long on it in the interest of not making this episode crazy long. But Microsoft Teams Premium has hit general availability as of February 1st, 2023. So the website now, you can go try it for free. And I think that trial is the typical 30-day trial. And then you do have to buy it. And the pricing is something that we had speculated about. And given the slow roll of some of the features, I think this is probably an okay solution for Microsoft to handle some of that, is that between now and I believe it's June 30th. So up until June 30th, you can get Teams Premium for $7 per person per month. And then beginning July 1st, it's going to jump up to the standard $10 per user per month. And I would dare to speculate that those remaining features that are still labeled as coming soon in the description, which primarily revolves around the AI stuff for Teams meetings, the intelligent meetings, the intelligent chapters, notes, to-dos, all of that. I would dare to speculate you'll see those hit sometime between now and June 30th when the price jumps up. So they're kind of giving you a discount saying, go get Teams Premium. Not all the features are there yet, but come July 30 or June 30, July 1st, hopefully all the features will be there, and then it's going to jump up to that full price. So a little bit of a discount to jump in early.
So we talked about this a little bit in the past, that Teams Premium is going to have this additional per user per month cost associated with it, and that it also has a 30-day trial. This still makes it extremely difficult, like in my mind, to actually rationalize whether it makes sense to take on for your organization. If you sit today and you say, great, it's going to be $7 a month for the next 4 months, however long it ends up being, do your 30-day trial and you go, it's not for me, but I really want to try it again when the next thing comes out, that's not going to work. Like, I don't think they're going to let you dual trial it and get 60 days out of it.
Yeah, and I guess if you're kind of in that boat, if you really want to try the AI meeting stuff, maybe you just wait with the trial. And you see when it comes out. Again, it may hit before June 30. I don't know. I'm guessing it's sometime between now and then. So yeah, I would say I was looking through the list of features, and we'll put this article in the show notes. There's a Microsoft Teams premium licensing article that's out there. This, to me, if you're evaluating Teams Premium, is the most beneficial article I've seen so far. It starts out with how does Teams Premium compare to Teams, and it gives you a list of all the features that are in Teams and that are in Teams Premium. When it comes to meetings, to webinars, to meeting protection, and all of those, so those 3 headings of features are available today. Then you get down into meeting reporting, like auto-generated chapters, time markers in meetings, search meeting transcripts, act on auto-generated tasks. Those are all coming soon in this feature list, so you can see which features are there, which features are coming soon. Virtual appointments, all of those but one are there today. So it gives you a good breakdown, and it really is that meeting reporting is the bulk of stuff that's not there today. And then this was also reported, I think it was Tony Redmond first mentioned this, but I saw a few people talk about it, is current Teams features that are moving to Teams Premium.
Yes. Yeah, you're losing things as well.
You are. One of the documents simply says, like I can't remember which document it was, one of the articles just says, now that Teams Premium has reached general availability, some features formerly available with Teams will only be available in Premium, but it doesn't actually spell it out on that page. If you go over to this licensing page, there's a section down at the bottom. Are there current Teams features that will move to Teams Premium? Yes, there are, and then it lists them. Live translated captions, timeline markers and Teams meetings recordings for when a user left or joined, custom organization together mode scenes, virtual appointment SMS notifications, virtual appointment organizational analytics in the Teams Admin Center, and virtual appointment scheduled queue view. Some of these you get a 30-day grace period after Teams Premium general availability, February 1. So because February has less days, March 1 or 2, those will go away. And then timeline markers and Teams meetings recordings for people leaving or joining, and live translated captions, those you actually get a 60-day grace period. So up until end of March sometime for those. So this, to me, was the most useful. There is a blog post that goes along with this that talks through some of the features, and there was an article that's like an overview for administrators. Gives a little bit of information there, but I would definitely go check out this Microsoft Teams Premium licensing page and read through that to understand better which features are there, which features are going away, requirements. This is more of an FAQ about Teams Premium than just a strict licensing page.
All good stuff.
It'll be interesting. It is. I will probably go out and purchase it because I have a small organization, so I don't have to buy a ton of licensing. And I want to be able to talk to these features further when clients or listeners have questions about them.
All good stuff.
Yeah. So if you want Teams Premium, go check it out. Go look at that documentation. I'm sorry for features being taken away because...
You don't have to apologize.
Well, I get the frustration. I dealt with a whole bunch of frustration when they took away certain connectors in Power Automate in Power Apps, and they moved from free to premium. I will apologize. I can't really apologize on behalf of Microsoft. I'm sorry for the pain people are going to have to go through with some of these if you did use those features, because this is not the first time that happens, and frankly, it's irritating. Me as a customer get irritated by this type of stuff.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like it's not fun. It's not easy to do. It's not easy to figure out, and yeah, it is what it is. The other thing that I think I would be hesitant about is the timelines seem to have shifted for Teams Premium. I feel like I've been hearing about them for a long time, and the trials and availability. And, even with this kind of introductory licensing, if you go read the terms and conditions of that, the ability for Microsoft to pull back that offer, kind of change that deal at any time, right? It's like Darth Vader in Cloud City, pray I don't change the deal any further. They can absolutely do that. So I'm worried what happens if they don't hit the June timeline for release of some of that. Or if you're just a company and you're trying to figure out when you're going to spend money, and you do a projection based on, hey, I'm going to have 4 months of this cost and not this other thing. And then all of a sudden, maybe they release it earlier, and the cost bumps up earlier. I don't know. It seems kind of fraught and weird.
Yeah. And it's a little bizarre too, because it says the introductory pricing is available for the entire term of your initial subscription too. So a lot of these subscriptions now, Microsoft has gone pretty much completely to either a 1 year or a 3 year.
Yep.
And if you want to go month to month, you pay a 25% upcharge to do month to month. So they say it's available for the entire term, except for some month to month and some 3 year. So it sounds like they don't want you to be able to lock in $7 for 3 years, and they don't want you to necessarily get $7 on a month to month. But it does imply that if you would sign up today, you do get that $7. If you're doing the 1 year commit, you would get that for the entire year. But then they do, like you said, they threw in, they can cancel, change, suspend at any time. Does that mean after you commit, they could still change it in the middle of that year?
Yeah,
or does
100%.
it mean they may not guarantee that this offer will exist all the way up until June 30? Let's say they're ahead of schedule and they release it on May 30. This potentially could go away as soon as the rest of those features hit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's interesting.
It's tough when you're trying to project costs that way. I think many organizations that would want Teams Premium are probably not, leaning towards the SMB side. They're probably leaning towards the larger side, which means this is all expenditure for you. You need to be able to project that in a predictable way, so that you can align with your finance organization and blah, 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 all the other things that come with it. So interesting stuff for sure.
Yeah, and it's not a small price swing either. I mean, if you're talking, again, enterprises, 5,000 users, all of a sudden it changes from 35,000 to 50,000, or if they decide 10 is too cheap, it could go from 35,000 to 70,000. Those $3 a month doesn't seem like much until you start multiplying that by big numbers of employees.
Yeah. Bring over a couple thousand here, a couple thousand there, whatever it happens to be, and all of a sudden it's real money. So,
yeah, but it is coming. It is available. I have played with it. I don't know. Did you join my meeting before I did? Did you see I have a whole new custom background when you're in the lobby?
I did, yeah. I've been dealing with those for a while now, just on the Microsoft tenant. So,
and yours, yes.
Yeah, it doesn't even throw me off anymore.
Yeah, I was playing with mine. So there's some nifty stuff in there. The intelligent meeting stuff is the one I'm really curious to try. And guess what? My trial's going to be long gone before that gets here, because I think I'm already approaching the end of my trial. Because you know me, why would I wait? If I can try it today, why wait until tomorrow?
Yeah, I know. You and your betaware. I got it.
Yes. All right. Well, with that, Scott, I will let you get to your weekend or a little more work. I'm going to go work a little bit and go get some pizza with the family.
All right. Perfect. Thanks, Ben.
All right. Thanks, Scott.